Hi guys, this is the add-on guide for World of Warcraft. In this guide we're going to cover the raiding add-ons that are helpful when you go to specific raids. So first thing that you're going to need is you're going to need some sort of action bar alert and a voice pack to go with it. So personally I use Bigwigs, however Deadly Boss Mods DBM works exactly the same way with pretty much exactly the same functionality. So they all basically give you the option to see what certain bosses are casting, when they're casting it, and how long you have until that specific time. They also all give a range check, and Bigwigs specifically gives you info boxes that help you with certain mechanics throughout the fight. So if you do what I've just done for Bigwigs, type in /BW, and Deadly Boss Mods is /DBM, and it gives you your settings window. On here you can toggle your anchors to start with, and you can put them wherever you like on your screen. So you've got your range down here, your actual info panels, and the info bars that come up. So if we create a couple of test bars just so you can see what's happening, toggle them off. So down here you've got your information that tells you what's being cast, and then when it gets to 10 seconds it'll jump up into the emphasize section and count down. After the time elapses, it'll give you information in the middle of the screen and tell you exactly what's coming. And again, it'll just keep repeating that for every bar until the boss is dead, or you die yourself. So if we pop it back open, the anchors and the info. So on here you can set exactly how you want them to look. So there's loads of different options down the side. The most important ones are your bars, which you can set your individual bars, your regular, and your more important ones, the 10 seconds or less ones. And you can set the size, the actual time that it emphasizes at, and there's loads of different things that you can set on there. So again, that's down to you to set up your personal preferences, your proximity as well. That's your range down here, and all your sounds. Also, like I said, you are going to need a voice pack if you want it to actually speak to you and tell you what's coming. So for mine, it'll tell me at 10 seconds when something's coming, and it'll tell you again just before it actually comes. You can set all different types of alarms, your countdowns, pretty much everything down here is customizable. There are different cool countdown voice packs that you can use, and DBM does have slightly more than Bigwigs. However, again, it's personal preference, they both do roughly the same thing. Other than that, you're going to need something called GTFO, which is basically a audio alarm that when you're standing in something you shouldn't be, it just gives a loud audio signal to tell you to move. It's basically just an alarm that keeps going until you get out of it. Those are the two general raid frames that you generally need. Most other stuff is just personal preference. So for me, I've got Exorsus Raid Tools, ERT, which is this box here. That also adds part of it, and the raid mark bar down here. If you look at the settings, again, it does look really complicated to start with. It's not that major to set up if you're just using it for basic general information. So the marks bar down here is your marks bar there, and again it just tells you all down here. You can set it however you like. You can have the direction, hide it when you're not in a party, lock it so you're not generally moving it, or just completely hide it altogether. On there you've got your marks and your general world markers that you can place down. Your clear button, which clears everything. Delete, which deletes all the world markers. Ready check, and a pull timer, which is as so. And that just pulls down, counts down. Now with that you can set your timers down here. So that one will go off your general spec timers. So whichever classes you've got in, It does automatically set it up as standard on how many seconds you need for each individual class as your prep time. I've changed all mine to 15 just because it gives you a little bit extra prep time. However, if you've got an elemental shaman, it changes it to 16, or a subtlety rogue, there we are, 25. So it all depends on what class you've got in your raid to how long that timer actually is. If we go into raid cooldowns, that's this box here. This does take a little while to set up if you're interested in tracking certain things. So for me, I have absolutely every spell going in that bar, just so I can see exactly when people are casting it, and as I'm a healer, it really helps so you're not cross casting like your biggest cooldowns, such as you've not got two tranquility going at the same time. Also gives you your cooldowns on your combat reses, everything realistically that you could be tracking is on there. So leg sweep monks for your stuns, your warrior shockwave, pretty much everything in there. That's easy enough to set up. You've got your priority down here, and whether you want it to show there. And if you go into the appearance, you can set your general setup, and that's every column that you use, or you can set individual columns up depending on what you want. And again, you've just got all your information down there, and that's pretty much it. You can set them in columns and which column you want them. So for me, I've got all my healing cooldowns in one column, all my damage reduction in another, mana stuff, general information, grips and stuff. They're all set up individually so I can see where they are. Obviously, when you add more people to the party or a raid, then they start filling in. With a larger size group, if you've got all of them tracked like I have, it can be right down to the bottom. However, you can set the size of it, how many columns and rows and stuff that you want. You just do that in there. How many lines, how many, the width, etc. Also on here, you've got your battle res, which is that button there. You can either turn it on or off, and that just basically gives you a timer on how long available until the next battle res is available. Not really that generally helpful for anyone other than healers, maybe tanks as well, or any DPS that have one, such as a hunter. Generally, most DPS won't need it because it's completely irrelevant to you. Your fight log basically speaks for itself, how many fights it saves, and you can just view your logs. Inspect, when you've got a group, you can see exactly who's got what gear, the achievements, just basically gives you information on the raid. Notes, you can enable a notepad that you can set up, put information in there. So if your raid leader wants to send you information of who's doing what cooldown at what particular point in the fight, then you can just enable that and it'll all appear in there. I've not got any set up at the moment, but the raid leader can send them over to you if they feel like it. Raid check, again, really only for if you're an assistant or leader. You can check your food, everything to do with your actual raid itself. You can set minimum food levels. So for Legion, obviously, you want to be hitting about 300 in your food, and you can show expiring flasks. So if you're coming into a long fight, 10-minute flask probably won't last you the whole fight. So you can change that however you feel like. And most of the other stuff speaks for itself. The only other one that maybe you need to look at is marks. You can set it to automatically mark certain things when they happen. So if a certain ad you know is going to spawn, you can set it as a raid leader or assistant to mark that automatically and not have to worry about it. That's pretty much it for ERT. There are a lot of other things you can do with it. However, again, that's really not that important, and it's all down to you whether you'd want to or not. You've also got, if you're interested in your stats, any sort of DPS chart, meters, healing for healers, damage taken for tanks, if you're interested, and threat meters. I use details, which is this one here. You can have as many windows as you like at a time, and I'll bring it into the main screen so you can see it a bit easier. You can set 1 window, 4 windows, however many you like, and you can see the actual damage, healing, taken. It just gives you general information on what's happening. Other ones that you can use SCADA, Omen Threat Meter. There's loads of ones out there. I'll add a few more in the description below, so if you're not interested in details, then there'll be other ones that you can use. And the final raid-specific one is Personal Loot Helper. And this is very mixed as to what people like, dislike. Some people hate it, some people love it. But it gives you general information on specific loot. The only thing I would say about it is it does, by default, turn on your notify group. So if someone else gets an item that drops that's better for you, it'll broadcast that to them and everyone else in the raid. Personally, I think a lot of people find this really annoying, so I tend to have it turned off, just to prevent the spam going through into raid chat, instance chat, party chat, whatever it is that you're in at the time. Like I say, again, a lot of people do find it annoying when you're constantly got, oh, this item's better for me, can I have it? No one likes being pestered, so personally I say just turn it off. But again, that's down to you whether you want to keep it on or off. Other than that, that's pretty much it for the raiding specific side of things. There are some add-ons, such as your raid frames for healers, and tanks have different ones that they potentially could use as well. I will put up a video in a moment to show how to set up Voodoo that I use, which I find the most helpful for a healer. But again, there are many out there. Thanks for watching the raiding guide, and see you again soon.